Am I the a-hole for refusing to change a custody agreement because I'm not being offered anything in return? My ex and I share 50/50ths of our 9-year-old son. Basically, we have him every other week. She also has a 5 years old from her second marriage. They're divorced and the custody arrangement is like ours, except she the 5 years old on the week that I have our 9 years old. Her second ex-husband refused to work around our custody agreement, so my ex asked me to change ours. This is a huge deal, and the reality is that I cannot just sign off it. If I just say okay, then she'll start asking for more accommodations at my expense. I told her to think about what she's going to offer me to go along with this plan. She got mad that I just wouldn't just do it. Honestly, if she would have offered me something like an extra holiday, then I'd go along with it. She even said that she wasn't going to pay my legal fees because a judge has to sign off any custody changes in our state. Now she's pissed and I don't care. Edit, both boys are just as happy being together than not. Why? Because they get to have their parent all to themselves, and my relationship with my son is more important than with his brother. The top comment is, yes, you are the a-hole. My parents were divorced and I distinctly remember my dad being in a hole, and there was a period of time my brother would be with my dad and I would be with my mom, and then we would switch and I never got to see my brother. I hated my dad for it. You sound just like him, a narcissistic a-hole who only cares about himself, and your son will resent you and not have much of a relationship with you as an adult. Am I the a-hole for letting him and his guy friend be stranded in another city and refusing to pay for their plane tickets to get home? My fiancé, 33/M, has a guy best friend that he's known for 16 years. He's cancer and is terminal. My fiancé wanted to take him on a vacation for a couple of days and begged me to basically fund it. I refused, although I felt incredibly guilty after he made me feel bad about it for days. Eventually, he was able to borrow money to go on the vacation. They went and spent 2 days at a sports city. When it was time to return, he called me asking me to pay for their plane tickets to get home. I was taken aback. I asked why I should pay and he said because they ran out of money and didn't put any aside to get home. I refused and told him it wasn't my problem, he didn't save money for the return flight. He started arguing with me, saying I can't let them be stranded in another city when I have the means to help, especially after I refused to help fund the vacation. I said no and that he needed to deal with it on his own. He didn't stop texting me trying to get me to pay. He and his friend had to eventually return by road and it took them 8+ HRS. He came home and blew up saying I let them be stranded in another city and refused to help although I had money to pay for their plane tickets. He said that by forcing them to travel by road, I had caused his friend unnecessary exhaustion and turmoil. He called me every name under the sun and said I had no empathy for his friend and that I'd tainted the memories of this vacation. Am I the a-hole? He's still mad at me and says he's in shock by the way I behaved in this situation and lack of empathy I'd displayed. I need to mention something as a number of people have been asking about it. My fiancé is unemployed, that's why he could not afford the vacation although it wasn't expensive. I'm the one working. Money is tight and yes, paying for the ticket would have strapped me financially since I'm paying for everything. The top comment is, info. Why didn't he book round trip tickets? They are cheaper than 2 one-way tickets. Am I the a-hole for throwing my wife a birthday party and royally pissing my mom off? My wife and I are currently staying with my parents because we just couldn't afford the cost of living in this area. We are both currently looking for better jobs and or something cheaper, but it is what it is right now. My mom and wife share a birthday and there aren't words for how much my mom hates this. There was lots of whining in the beginning, jokes about can't I just get a new girlfriend, and as of right now she does her best to avoid my wife the entire week of the shared birthday. Outside of that, she is a decent mother-in-law, mostly pleasant to her, but their relationship is surface level, and they could both do without the other. My mom is currently at home recovering from surgery from a torn ACL, so she isn't doing much this year, though my dad got her cakes, food, and easily thousands of dollars worth of presents. My wife has been feeling pretty down due to our living situation and some external factors, and I wanted to cheer her up. I asked my dad if we could have some people over. He said yes, but to be fair I didn't specify it was for a birthday party. I'm not sure he even remembered it was my wife's birthday as he is totally disinterested in her, and he was in the middle of doing stuff for my mom who was acting very princessy about her surgery. I invited our closest friends and set up a nice little party for my wife. At some point my mom did come down and realize what was going on. I saw her look to the decorations and cake and she looked pissed. My dad quickly ushered her away and promised they would go out when she was better, but she said it wouldn't count. My dad came back out and muttered to me that I'm in a hole for doing this and called me insensitive and a mooch. He came out an hour later and shut the party down as he claimed we were being too loud. I don't think we were, but it was getting late so I didn't mind too much. My wife loved it and had a great birthday. I fully intended on cleaning up myself but was too tired to do it that night. My mom came down in the morning and saw the things still up and got pissy again. I was in the process of cleaning them and told her not to worry, I would take care of it. She just glared at me and stormed off. My dad came back down and berated me for throwing it in my mom's face that my wife got a birthday party and she didn't, and told me he can't stand me and can't wait for us to leave. I told him they are both being crazy and my mom doesn't own the date. He shot back that I tricked him as he didn't realize it was a birthday party, to which I laughed and said maybe he should know his own DIL a bit better. He complained to some family and now my aunt and her husband are calling me in a hole as well. ETA to be clear about the mess. My mom only cared because she saw birthday stuff. She has never in her life cared about a mess. She once threw a handful of glitter in her own living room. I only brought it up to let her know I wasn't planning on leaving it for the housekeeper as I thought that would be disrespectful. The top comment is, gentle, everyone sucks here. Cause I think you're very much not the a-hole for throwing your wife a little party, but I get why people are saying yes, you are the a-hole for doing so when you knew it would piss your mom off while you're living under her roof. Personally, I get the feeling that your folks are super toxic looking at your mom's weird possessive behavior over the birthday date and your dad's ambivalence towards your wife. But what's happening is that you sound very used to the toxicity, kind of used to just tolerating it, thinking less of the parents for it, navigating around it, occasionally revenging yourself upon them for it, etc. This happens when you grow up with toxic family. But the problem is that these little revenges do kind of make an a-hole of you, at least to outsiders. Hence the yes, you are the a-hole judgments here. Have a think about if this could be the case, and have a chat to the wife. Think about whether the financial benefits of staying with your folks are really worth turning you into the kind of people who willfully do things that you know will upset the very people who are putting a roof over your head. Am I the a-hole because I won't childproof my new house? I'm F30, am a new house owner. I bought it earlier this year and moved in a few months ago. I don't have kids, hence no need to childproof my house. Of course I don't have swords sticking out of my walls, but my stairs don't have baby gates, etc. I also have quite a few pets, parrots of different species. I turned my top floor into parrot space where they have a massive room to fly freely all day and all plants and treats and toys. It's a lot of stuff. But parrots are easily stressed and they can be fragile, especially the smaller ones. My family have been pushing for me to host Thanksgiving at my house as it's the biggest one. I have 5 siblings who all have their own kids, between 2 to 4 each. It's a lot of people when you add my parents, aunts, uncles, etc. I didn't want to do it as it's a lot of prep work with cooking and then cleaning after, but I eventually agreed but laid down some ground rules. 1. I planned the menu and everyone brings a dish so we can all contribute. 2. Bring entertainment for your kids. I'll make one room into a quiet space where they can go and take a nap if they're overstimulated, or they can go in and play quietly, but they have to provide tots and whatever their kids will need. 3. Absolutely no one without me goes to the parrot room, it'll be locked anyway. I thought these were simple and fair, but my siblings are now demanding that I baby-proof my house because it's unsafe. What if they fall off the stairs? That I must allow kids to see the parrots as they want to play with them and it'll keep the kids quiet. I told them that they would have to keep an eye on their kids because I'm not going to install childproof system for one day and they will simply have to keep an eye on their kids. I also said that there was absolutely no way that I would allow kids inside the parrot room. They're calling me in a hole, spoiled kid, I'm the oldest but okay, lazy bum, etc. I threatened that if they keep on going I would cancel Thanksgiving at my house and they can host it, but they keep on going. Because of this situation, I'm currently not on speaking terms with 2 of my sisters. They keep complaining and ganging up on me. My father is on my side, by my mother has my sibling's side, and I'm not sure anymore. Should I cave in? Am I really the a-hole in this situation? The top comment is, not the a-hole. If they want a childproof house, they can host it at a childproof house. Am I the a-hole for keeping the same financial agreement with my wife? I, 31, recently completed my PhD and a postdoc position. I didn't make much money during that period, about $26,000 annually for my PhD, and about $32,000 while I was working as a postdoc. My wife, 30F, who I married about when I got my PhD, makes a shitload more than me, or made a shitload more than me. She made about $100,000 while we were together, so quite a bit of a gap. She also came up with the idea that we should put some of our income for ourselves and some for the family, and this would be proportional to our income, to keep it fair. She always got a bit fancier stuff than me, and I was pretty jealous. I didn't voice it to her, which I guess should've, but I don't understand how she doesn't realize it. I don't want to reveal too much information, but while I was working as a postdoc, I made connections with a couple people who were starting up a company. Long story short, last year I made $300,000 without including my stake in the company. It is obviously risky, but I think the risk had paid off for me at least. I did get a Tesla Model S, which I am entirely paying with my own money, including the insurance. And I'm starting to buy more expensive stuff for me too, and it honestly feels amazing. Now, she is asking if we should just combine our incomes, and each get the same amount of our money, which feels like total bullshit. She wants to eat her cake and have it too. And I just said no, she wasn't being fair. She then went on a spiel about equity, which I honestly did not listen to. I mean, she is allowed to make that suggestion, but I am allowed to say no, right? Am I the a-hole? Edit, I pay 3/4 of our bills now. I lived on my own, housing was paid by the university, when I was a grad student. The top comment is: are you still making contributions proportional to your new income split? Because I don't see how she also doesn't have more fun money now that you should be paying significantly more towards family expenses. Am I the a-hole? My boyfriend is upset that I keep washing the towels. My boyfriend works a really physically demanding job and often takes really long baths after work to ease his sore muscles. I totally encourage him doing this, because it really seems to help him after a long day. My issue is, I lay out his towel for him, but he uses mine every damn time. He likes the bath water to be scalding hot, so he sweats profusely and he uses my hanging towel to wipe the sweat from his face and then dries off when he's done with his own towel. I've never mentioned it to him, but after he's done, I just take my towel and throw it in the laundry bin. The other day, we got our water bill in and it's high. He paid it, but then went to the laundry bin and asked why there were so many towels in it. He accused me of wasting water. I told him that I don't like toweling off with a sweaty towel and tried to joke about the fact that if he stopped wiping his sweaty face off with my towel, then I wouldn't need a new one every day. He actually got really mad and said I shouldn't keep my towel somewhere he could easily access it, and how was he to know? I told him that I'm sure if he didn't take 3 to 4 hour long baths every day, it would probably help with our water bill, too, but you don't see me making a stink about it. Now he's pissed at me and not talking to me. Am I the a-hole? The top comment is: how does he spend 3 to 4 hours of his day in the bathtub? Like, how do you ever see him often enough to fight about this when he is always bathing, face with tears of joy? Am I the a-hole for crying and asking my boyfriend to leave over a burger? I, 21F, recently found out I'm pregnant, woo/s, getting to the 6-month mark, it's a complicated pregnancy and I'm exhausted. My boyfriend, 28, moved in with me because of it, it wasn't expected but we're making do. I'm training to be a teacher and he's currently looking for employment, technically I'm working 2 jobs to support the both of us, it's tiring, but he's looking so it's not over that. There's a local burger place I'd been wanting, we rarely go but I've been having cravings, they shut at a certain time. He agreed to it, he agreed to ordering since they only have one veggie burger I like, it's not as though there's multiple things I can have. They shut at 9, I got home at 8:40 and he hadn't ordered, and by the time he went to it was too late. I started crying because I've been craving that all week and all I wanted was a burger and a hot shower. I couldn't even have a shower since he used the last of the hot water. He didn't apologize and offered to go Burger King, which I didn't want, and he got all silent claiming I'm being in a hole since he's been job hunting all day. As I see it, my day started at 6 a.m. and ended when I got in bed at 9:30. His day started at 9 a.m. and ended at 9:30, but I've got the extra weight of pregnancy. We got into an argument about how we're comparing days and that he's overwhelmed. I asked him to leave, because I don't like arguing, and he had to stay in his car since he moved in with me, away from friends. He argued that I'm blowing it out of the window because I'm pregnant and not considering his feelings, because he's overwhelmed, so am I? My friends say I'm the a-hole because he's probably in over his head, and had to sleep in his car over a burger. Am I the a-hole? I know I said woo to be sarcastic, I'm not excited but I do love the baby already. Excuse my grammar, I'm okay when focusing but honestly not that good with English. Edit, I can't respond to everyone, thank you for your responses. The top comment is: OP, you were only dating for 5 months when you became pregnant. You've been pregnant in this relationship longer than not pregnant. How quickly did he move in? How long has he been without a job? And how was moving in with you while you were pregnant helping you? Because all these things combined make him sound like a man in his late 20s who intentionally latched onto you so he wouldn't have to take care of himself. Am I the a-hole for being upfront and telling my parents that I am putting them in a home? My family is from South Asia but we live in the States. My parents loved my older brother and tolerated me. They expected me to just stay home and take care of them and my brother. That wasn't for me. I got a partial scholarship to a state school and GTFO. I worked the 4 years of my undergrad and was fortunate enough to get a full scholarship for my after degree. So I graduated university with only a small debt and 2 degrees. I found a career that I really enjoy and a husband who loves me. My parents paid for my brother's education and he does very well for himself. But he has chosen to have 5 children. And they all go to private school and have all kinds of extracurricular activities. And his wife is a som even though they have a nanny. I know 5 young children would be difficult to manage. I'm just saying that she has a degree as well, but they have chosen to be a one-income household. We are expecting our first child. We waited a few years before deciding to start our family. We will be stopping at 2 and my husband will be getting a vasectomy afterwards. We are very much in agreement about our future. My parents, however, have decided that they are going to sell their home and come live with us. We have a large property with an in-law suite in a HCOL city on the west coast. I told my husband that I did not want them living with us and he concurred. So I told them no. They said that they already listed their home and that a dutiful daughter would take care of her parents in their old age. I said that if they gave me all the money from the sale of their home I would find them a nice retirement home where they could live and that I would pay the bills until they passed away. They didn't like that idea very much. They called me an ungrateful child and that it was expected of me. I sent them a check for 1 year's worth of rent, food, utilities, and sundries. I said I moved out 1 year after I turned 18 and that they were responsible for me up to that point. I then told them not to contact me again without going through my lawyer. I have been playing whack-a-mole blocking all of their attempts to reach me. And all of the family members both in the States and back home that are calling me in a hole. My brother contacted me and said that I was making the family look bad by not taking them in. So I gave him the choice of either taking them in himself or never bringing it up to me again, or I would be going NC with him as well. So was I too harsh? And does that make me in a hole? I should probably add that they didn't approve of me marrying a person not from their culture and religion. So they didn't contribute to our wedding even though they did attend. The top comment is, not the a-hole. I am very impressed with the hard line boundaries you set up so quickly and I have a feeling you will have no problem keeping them. As to the rest of the family, as you have stated, they are welcome to open up their homes and/or wallets and house them if they feel so strongly about the family image. Seriously impressed.